Hello, hello, hello. This will be the first ever recorded video that I make for YouTube. However, I wanted to show you a little showcase of how I go around and build a city, or build a rather small neighborhood throughout my city. This is a city that I've been making through Twitch for the past around 2 months. And I just wanted to share that. But not only that first, I'd like to actually give you a tour of what the city really is or what it has to offer before I begin just building, because that'd be a little bit rude if I did that. Like what you're seeing right now is just simple B-roll footage of what the city has to offer as of now. I do expand this city almost, I can't say it every day, but I'm usually playing this game mostly every day. There will be times where I just show you like VODs of what I'm building. For instance, we've built a new neighborhood just yesterday. But here's me gallivanting about the city. I haven't even introduced myself. My name is Dava. Welcome to the channel. I mostly play City Skylines, and I hope you have a good time watching what I'm going to be making. I'll start off with a tour of the city, talk about all the things that I've done, the different ideas and why I've done it, and lastly, we'll get to just building the neighborhood that I want to establish in the one spot. But without further ado, this is the map. This is Bay Ridge. I'll be going over a brief little summary about this city. This map is the Charleston map. You can find it in the Paradox Workshop. It's honestly one of my favorite maps, from the large coastline to the literal rivers passing between it. Those are the maps that I really look for when playing this game. But I digress. Let's begin with a little aforementioned tour. Our power plant, our power facility, our garbage facility, our train and cargo networks are all located in this one area. What I try to do, or try to strive for when building a city, is keeping my residential or industrial a little bit farther away from the main downtown, but also keeping some within the downtown as well, because I don't want to have it go too far to the point where things are just not going to reach it. Like garbage, for instance. Garbage will take a while to get within the city, so they are placed up a little bit far. There are some more inland ones, but this is the main source, I should say. As we go more inland, there are more or smaller little cities located about, fixed with a bunch of row houses, apartments, and whatnot. We have some subway trains and yards as well. For anyone that doesn't know me, I mostly fixate on the use of trains or metro. In this case, for cities 2, I love to focus on the metro, as the trains aren't really up to like cities 1 standard, you know. But yeah, that's mostly what I would do. I focus on that, and highways. Highways are a main thing for me as well. These are more small little cities, and here's what we will be working on today on this little town, but let's get back to that later. We have a suburban sprawl further placed back as well as other areas where there will be more apartment-y style buildings as we go across the river. Again, we have the same scenario. I will have to change some of these things because, as you can see, the layout of this area, it doesn't really fit the bill, if you know what I mean. The buildings are kind of tall for the area. It's a little bit strange. And again, we have another yard placed further ahead. As we now backtrack on ourselves, we will proceed. This is the town that I was talking about earlier that I had built on stream. This one is relatively recent. We'll be going through the same or similar style of road laying out to get these buildings in place and whatnot. As we head on back, here is where most of the suburbs will take place within this corridor before we enter into the main downtown area. So we have a series of metro lines. I don't know if you've noticed before, but a series of metro lines scrolling around these places and whatnot. There are some places that are empty. These areas, like for instance here, are meant to be inhabited, mostly over here, throughout here, but I tend to do these things on stream. We have 6 different train lines, which I should actually show you, and a bunch of varying bus lines, but green, red, pink, orange, blue, and cyan. They all coordinate in a different, similar to what I have in New York City, their ordinance of how they stand. So red and pink, these two are tied together. They are both local and express towards each other. Pink is local, red is express. We have, the further we go in, green. The green line is the most populated dense line. This one serves the most people. Once it goes through underground, it will then merge back and connect with the pink and red lines. The other two lines, however, these ones, they all have their own shared yard. So orange and blue have their own shared yard. Before, way up here, we had orange, or orange and green. They also share a yard at the very end, since they both almost meet back at the same spot, but they never really connect. I wanted to keep them like their own little rolling stock, but they're the same train, of course. But until we get an asset for that, they will then merge back into downtown. And since I'm here, I'm kind of all over the place, but let's get to downtown. This downtown layout is one of my favorites that I've made within this game. I try to follow the same principle of, I mean, it's always a good city practice to do this. Follow your building line. You don't want it to exponentially increase from high rise to suburbs. You want to try not to do that. So at least put a series of apartment buildings before you can descale down to that level. But here is the downtown. It's got a whole little terminus and partial yard through here. The trains will pass through at rail crossings at grade at some points. At other points, it will rise above. And I apologize if I'm moving the screen a bit too much, but I'm just kind of excited. We have a main highway passing through here, both express and local lanes, but I'll talk about the highway just after this scenario. So yes, this is probably my favorite spot in the city, is the downtown plaza area where the terminal is located. It's a connection through a series of, as you can see, the train, which again, it's kind of a lot, kind of a lot happening. The train, most buses will stop here. Every train will stop here. All the terminals, or all the trains themselves, will stop here. I say trains and metro kind of counteractively. I meant metro and train, but if that makes sense. The downtown as well is also man-made. This portion of downtown is man-made. It's separated from the others. This was inspiration from Chicago with their Chicago River passing through the city. So I kind of wanted to do something like that as it goes throughout here. The port as well is located on the other end. And the last stop for the train is actually this plaza station right here. Once you get over here, I have given the train a place to turn around, because when they're underground, it kind of leaves for this off, putting reversal and forward as the trains are at their last stop. It's kind of a bit meshy when you do that, so I like to make it go after the fact and then come backwards. That way it feels more natural. And now for the highway. The highway is, again, split up into local and express. I say that, but it's not technically split up like that. It's really just two different highways just kind of merged together. So the actual main highway is the one on the outside. The inside is the one that comes from the bridge up here, through this Golden Gate Bridge. The core of it kind of sweeps through the middle, while the other end of the highway passes through the outside, as what you saw before. If we go across the other side, this is the interchange that I like to call the spaghettified mess. It was the first thing that I've made throughout the city, and one of my accomplishments, I should say. Accomplishments might not be the right word, but it's there. This is my governance area. They're really art buildings, but they look like government buildings, so I kind of wanted to make a whole area for them across this bridge. This area will most likely be developed during stream as well, similar to the side behind. Here's where the other terminal will be, the terminus will be for the other half of this island. As we return back down, we are entering into the other portion of land that has mostly been developed, but not fully. Here we see the other two lines, the cyan and the dark blue, or deep blue. This line will be the one going towards the airport, and the cyan one, which has the yard as well, that connects both cyan and blue, will be going further beyond and back. Now we're zooming back to the area that we want to start with. We want to begin our little community right around this area, most likely up here, down here, and throughout the spot. We do have a train station pre-built over here, and we do have a farmland, as well as a larger mail and sorting complex, as well as the freight interlocking with the passenger rail as well. Most freight trains will pass through this facility as they proceed to go further up the coastline into the other side of the water. I do want to follow a similar style to the rest of the neighborhood, with the roads kind of protruding through, connecting to connector or collector roads or arterial roads that go straight to the highway. Same like, kind of like this road. This road I would call it a collector road. It doesn't connect to the highway per se, but it does connect to its service lanes to the highway. There aren't really much arterial roads located in this, but I mean, I guess this one here would be considered an arterial as it passes through here. Autosave as it would pass through here. So this would be a good start. Now, the way to start building around this, so what I would usually do, you can take an example right here. I have a little draft built up right here. It's a simple arrangement, having smaller alley roads, making their own little cul-de-sacs and whatnot. You just want to get out of this view real quick. You just want to take your road, draw the road as, I wouldn't say as straight as you can. I'd say put some twists, put some turns in it. The simple curve tool is actually your friend in this case. Usually it's not my friend, but when building a road like this, just have no format of grid. Just do what you want to do when you build these kind of roads. Also, make sure you look at your topography when you're doing this as well. You don't want to have the road go down a straight hill out of nowhere and just run into the river. You don't want that. But roads like this, you can also, if you want, use Road Builder. Road Builder's roads, having the ability to have a road the same size, but it's kind of like an alleyway road with no markings, it really gives the depth to the road. It feels different. I call this one the suburban road. It's a road with no markings. However, it is a two-way road, but it does symbolize you can pass people on this road at the same time without really having to worry about some kind of restrictional line, you know? But with that out of the way, through here, I want to take my smaller alleyway roads, just kind of bring them out. As they're brought out, they can, honestly, do whatever they can just to drive around. I would recommend not putting, try your best not to make a grid. That's number one, step one. You could do this, but when you get to this point, again, the curved roads are your friend. Curve it again. I wouldn't really matter following the grid at this point. Sure, you can have a grid if you want to, but if you break the grid, it's fine. Be perfectly fine. Break the road as much as you can. Make it disassemble itself and curve out. I will say this, however. Try to keep these local roads or these alleyway roads connected to your larger suburban road. Try not to connect them to your main road. If you do, have at least one at a time. Keep your local roads. Keep your collector roads. Your collector roads will collect your local roads, but not your alley roads. It shouldn't be doing that. And in this case, it should not be collecting arterial roads, which is this road right here, Heather Street, whose name I've changed repeatedly, but it keeps going back to Heather. So, you know, I'm going to leave it like that. But yes, what you can do is you can connect your local roads to your arterial, but try to prevent the alleys. That's step one. That's like the most important step. So get the different looks of the road. So for instance, this case right here, I'm going to take my suburban road and kind of just branch it off of here, because at this point, the road is becoming a hill and it's going to go over the river over here. So we want this road to come down, and then it could just meet back with the other road. Or in this case, I actually have a better idea, and that is actually making this one a 2-lane road with a marking. Making this road on the outside connect back to the road by the station. Here's the station, by the way. It has its own little parking road. This is also made by road builders. Help. But connecting that road, bring it all the way back across. Again, you don't need to follow a grid or any arrangement. There is no grid once you've already started breaking the road so much. But passing underneath, you know? Passing underneath, doing whatever you can. Just to give it a sense of difference from every other road that you've built. So yeah, just like, start off like this, you know? It'll be rather simple. And again, these alleyway roads, do whatever you can to make it look different. Because what matters after you do this is actually the way you sort out the houses. I'm actually gonna cut this back just a smidge. Because I do want the curved road to be right here. And from here, you take that spot, make that a cul-de-sac. There is a asset in the store, or mod in the store, called empty roundabouts. These make perfect cul-de-sacs. This one is made by Brucey Boy, if I'm not mistaken. So using these roads, these make perfect cul-de-sacs. Do the same thing with all the other roads. Connect all these roads going back, however you want it placed. Again, don't be afraid of breaking the grid. The grid is here to be your friend sometimes, not all the time. I will say downtown. Downtown building, be afraid of breaking your grid. You never want that to happen. But again, yeah, you can connect at least one of these to your local road. But most of them should connect to your main core road between local roads. Just don't make, well, just make sure that does not connect to your arterial. Just to give that a nice separation. Now, I don't want to put houses too close to this because, again, we're going to pretend that this is a situation where a lot of cars would take this road. Since it is a heavy traffic road, it's a 4-lane road. Noise is a thing in this game. So we want to keep that as minimal as possible. We're just going to keep building all the way across. Now, the reason we're not worrying about the grid in this one is because the houses, when building this layout, we just want to use the simple residential housing, simple town housing. They shouldn't cause too much of an issue. They require 2x2 tiles max, so they're relatively easy to work with. You shouldn't really run into many problems. And if you do see a lot of spaces, I'll always say the solution is trees. Once you place trees between houses, your map will become far more dense looking. It looks a lot more healthier when there's trees around. So in case of something is looking bare, do that just so you get the nice sense of a woodland area. Similar to over here, where it's looking a little bit empty. Just don't be afraid to fill it in with trees. You know, it'll be perfectly fine. And from there, you just want to zone houses as you go. I recommend zoning at least 3 by, like these smaller ones, I recommend zoning these. But when you get to the larger lot sizes, like these, you want to take your time, go through each one. Try to keep as much space as you can. Like, keep it, if you see a tree, keep that tree. Try not to destroy it. In this case, the one down south might be destroyed, but keep some gaps. That way you have some empty space between you. And everything will come out fairly smooth. There will be some cases where you gotta remove a tree, but it'll be fine. And you just want to keep zoning like that in between spaces. And just like that, you get a similar neighborhood like this one, like how this one stands. Because it's always better when the road kind of curves. It feels more cozy rather than a straight walled up road that has the same kind of style to it. I'd only recommend this style for when doing a downtown area. Not all downtowns will have this kind of straight look. I'm American, so the way I see things is more straight bound, you know? But yeah, That's how I would build neighborhoods in a nutshell. And now, as our simulation continues to go, the houses will be built. Our demand may be saying it's low, but they'll come back. They'll keep coming back. We will see the houses eventually spawn in. And now when they spawn in, we do want to fill them in with trees. Let me show you how I do it. I usually use an assortment of trees. Let's see here. From alders to oaks, bushes, flowers, and chestnuts being spread all about through here. So I turn off magic only type. I increase the brush strength to 100 and brush size to about 350 and mature trees so you can actually see them as they're adulting in their height. You just kind of hold it alongside through here and you can see it in here for a better example. They'll kind of squeeze their way through. And as the buildings grow, the trees will be removed and whatnot. And that's really it. That's really how I start off these little neighborhoods. My little tutorial on that. So, with that being said, thank you for watching my first pre-recorded video. I appreciate your time and have a good day. Toodaloos.